Eustass Kid, he is a character that gets a lot of hate from the One Piece community. I personally believe that he is very undervalued and very underappreciated and does not get the love that he deserves, especially on Onigashima during the raid. People are calling him Captain Mid, saying that Killer's better. Now granted, that part's an opinion, but still, I love Kid as a character, and today I'm going to talk about why I like him and also why the community does not give him the love that he deserves. And there's a few reasons. I think some of them are valid and some of them it's more of like a wait and see approach, stuff like that. We're just going to get into that. But if you guys enjoy regular anime content, make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you guys never miss out on a new one. Without way, my name is Potential Leash, and here is my thoughts on Eustass Kid. I want to start out with his design. Kid is really tall, right? Ironically, you know, Luffy's really short. Law's kind of, well, Law's tall too, but like compared to Kid, Law's like in the middle, and then Kid's tall. I think he's over like 6'7" or 6'8", something along those range. He has a lot of muscle, really beefy. He has one of the coldest scars, not just in One Piece, but I say in anime, over his eye. I really love it, where his metal arm looks dope, and I'll explain how he got that a little bit later in the video. But we gotta talk about his introduction. He was first introduced at Sabaody Archipelago along with the other supernovas, where he had the highest bounty out of all the supernova, which gave him a lot of hype, because we know that everything the Straw Hats have been through, especially Luffy and Zoro, and I'm not trying to hate on the other Straw Hats, I'm just mentioning them specifically because they are other members of the supernova, where we've had, you know, the interaction defeating Arlong, going to Alabasta and defeating Crocodile, who was a warlord, considered one of the strongest pirates in the series. There's Enies Lobby, you know, escaping that and everything else. Where when you look at Luffy's bounty, his was 300,000. You're like, okay, well, if he escaped a government facility alive, defeated a warlord, then what the fluff has Kid done to deserve his bounty? Because Kid's bounty was 315,000 and he was considered ruthless, killing a lot of people. Kid has some great dialogue, and I think his ideals are really interesting. He talks about the celestial dragons when we're at that auction, where Kid's like, you know, I'm a pirate. You know, people talk about pirates being, you know, ruthless and evil, talking about I've killed and done all this. But when you look at celestial dragons, comparing them, you know, the things that they've done to what I've done, I look like a saint to them. And he's right. Look at celestial dragons, you know, enslaving people, you know, believing that they're better than everybody else, treating everybody poorly, shooting people randomly. So yeah, you know, to me, you know, what Kid's done, it makes him look like a pretty good guy. Just like a lot of people interested in Luffy, he wanted to meet him because of the rumors, you know, how crazy that Luffy is. He doesn't disappoint. You know, the scene at the auction house, where the three captains end up, you know, escaping and, you know, paving a way for their crew, where he uses Devil Fruit, has the ability to control magnetism. You know, he used a lot of stuff, repel, and, you know, other abilities, where Kid, you know, you look at him, you're like, okay, he might be that guy. You know, dope design, dope Devil Fruit, you know, the way that he talks, you know, and carries himself like a pirate, he might be him, right? And so, you know, other characters just like him, you know, Law, Luffy, Kid, you know, everybody, all the supernova struggle against pacifistas, and then they enter the new world. Kid, he definitely got stronger going into the new world. And there was a dialogue after the War of the Best, you know, before we got into the new world, I want to talk about, where he was with this no-name pirate and he was asking him to spare him, you know, not going into the new world, where Kid's like, well, he ended up killing him and hanged him, but he's like, yo, if you're scared of entering the new world, then, you know, scared of a challenge, scared of all these strong people, then you don't deserve to be a pirate. And he's right. Like, Kid, you know, he talks his talk, he talks his ish, he backs it up, and, you know, he's really truthful about what he's saying. A lot of stuff he makes sense. You know, Kid entering the new world, led the supernova, had the bounty of 470 billion berries, so he had the upper hand against all the other supernova, including Luffy. Granted, Luffy took a break, you know, stopped, get stronger, but still, gotta mention that. Continuing into the new world, we saw him, you know, in the underground, him and Killer looking at Caesar, you know, doing the whole smiley display for everybody. He fought against the red-haired pirates, where I mentioned earlier that he lost his arm, and now he has a metal arm, where we don't know which member of the red-haired pirates it was. Could be Shanks, Ben Beckman, Lucky Roo, could be even be, you know, Rockstar, so we're not really sure. But he also went up against, you know, Big Mom, one of her sweet generals, wounded them and got what he needed and escaped. He had an alliance with Apu and Hawkins, where this is where he met Kaido. That scene where Kaido coming down from the sky, and Kid, challenged him right then and there. It was like facing an emperor, and even, in the face of somebody with such overwhelming power, he didn't lose his nerve, and he fought him to the end, not giving up, not trying to be submissive or subordinate to him, where, it is what it is. He went down fighting, he lost, but he didn't back down and, made his name for him being a captain. We cut to Wano, where he is in prison. He lost his crew, and Killer was affected by eating a smile devil fruit for the sake of his captain, where he broke out wanting revenge on Kaido, and he ended up joining the raid, where he attacked Apu, because Apu is the snake. And I think the manga did a phenomenal job. The anime version was horrible, but he ended up using a Punk Gibson, I believe, smashing Apu into I don't know if it was the ground or the side of the building, but that was dope. He used, in the fight against Big Mom Mikado, he used Slam Gibson, he used Repel, separating Big Mom, creating that box for Zeus, and, going against Kaido. I think he did a lot. We don't value him. I think it's because of how flashy Luffy, Zoro, and Law were, and Kid wasn't necessarily as flashy. That's why we don't give him the credit. There was the scene of another one where I think the manga did it better than the anime. It was kind of hoeing Kid a little bit. He had ran up behind her and did a Punk Gibson on Big Mom, slamming her into the ground. Thought it was dope. One of my favorite things that Kid has done. There was the dialogue of him getting beat up, with Hawkins, using the straw fruit, controlling him, was like, yo, as a pirate, I don't want to just be some no name. I want to be able to accomplish something. Getting beat up like this is my end. This is unacceptable. Where after Hawkins was defeated, Kid went crazy, where he uses his awakened devil fruit, which assigns north and south properties to objects, making them, collapse on each other. Showcase that against Big Mom. He had a one-on-one a little bit with her, where he was like, yo, it's time for the big wigs to fall. It's time for the emperors to fall. It's our turn. Use Punk, I think it's Punk Cornerdillo, where we made that bull. He ran into Big Mom. She ended up breaking her arm, breaking her wrist. Like, that's impressive. He used Damn Punk on Big Mom, sending her through Onigashima as well. So like I said, Kid did a lot during the war. I just think because it wasn't as flashy as Law and Luffy, he doesn't get the credit he deserves. Now we're going to talk about a little bit of why Kid gets a lot of hate. I think for starters, him being a Conqueror's Haki user and never using it is very disappointing. I think in the anime version, exclusively to that, he only used it once, and Luffy and other characters have started using advanced versions of advanced cock, right? Pause, but still advanced Conqueror's Haki, and Kid, being displayed as how strong he is, he's a step behind everybody else. Like I said, displaying how strong he is, he's portrayed as Luffy's rival, and he hasn't necessarily lived up to those expectations. We saw him in Udon trying to go against him, Luffy having the lower bounty than him, Sabayoti. Granted, Luffy's ahead of him because, well, he has that MC power, and Luffy's pretty much ahead of everybody, but probably Blackbeard and, different Yonko, but Luffy's a Yonko, and so, him being the MC is kind of hard for people to really be his rival, And also Law, he plays a factor in this a little bit because of how much people like Law and Luffy, as characters, because we've seen them, Luffy the entire series, and Law, especially Punk Hazard all the way up to Wano, we've seen them more, so we're obviously going to be more attached to them, where when you look at the Supernova trio, Kid has not gotten much shine as the other two. I generally do believe that Kid is an overhated character. People compare him to Luffy and Law a lot, where Luffy is the most popular character in the series, and I think Law in the popular poll, I don't know if he was top 5, but I know he was definitely top 10 because of how much we've seen them. They have overpowered devil fruits. The Nika fruit, you got the Ope no Mi, and so Kid, his devil fruit is cool, but it's not as special as them. And because of the amount of screen time that they get a lot of love compared to Kid, where I believe that Kid is a very cool, very strong, and he's what you really want a pirate to be, where right now he's headed to Elbaf, and we'll see him link up with probably Luffy, Law at Elbaf, and probably in the final war as well. This is just my thoughts on Eustass Captain Kid. Like I said, I personally believe he is an overhated character, but if you guys don't like him, let me know why in the comment section below. Like I said, I love him. But thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Also hit the notification bell so you guys never miss out on a new video. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, and TikTok. It's on the screen in the description below. I've been posting a lot more on TikTok, so if you guys want some exclusive content, it does pop up on my YouTube Shorts sometimes, but sometimes I just leave it on TikTok. Make sure you guys follow that. Thank you guys so much for watching, and don't forget to unleash your potential.